Hey guys, what's up and welcome to the channel. I'm the Shotgun Shogun and this is the Infinite Library. Normally I would be joined by Snow and Pachex, however with the holiday weekend they both have some stuff to do, so I brought in Cafe Kaz. You may know him from YouTube, you may know him from Twitch, but Cafe Kaz is also another legend tier RTA player, way better than I am, and he decided to be gracious enough to stop by and hang out and talk a little bit of shop on whatever episode of the Infinite Library this is. One of these days I will actually write down or look it up before the podcast so that I know what's going on, Kaz.
Hey, well, thanks for that kind introduction. Hey, everybody, I'm Cafe Kaz, and I wouldn't say that I'm better than you yet, but I am another Legend RTA player. I do often stream, and I'm glad to be here. Hopefully, we have some interesting discussions.
Yeah, so for those of you who are tuning in, this is probably going to be a very RTA centric episode because we are both RTA players and we are coming to the end of the first season. And I was talking to Kaz a little bit earlier. I've been talking to him in DMs on Discord the past couple of days, and it is getting real nutty on just how hard people are pushing in this, like, limited amount of time before the end of the season to get that legend border.
It seems so ridiculous that people are so hungry for those top 100 spots. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous that there's only 100 spots among all the different servers that are participating, but the points are going up for Legend at like 13 points a day or something like that.
Yeah, no, and like I was telling you earlier, like I ended 2 days ago. I ended at like rank 55. It took me almost the better part of a day to actually work myself back up into legend after being 500 IQ and not playing for an entire weekend a couple weeks back, and thinking that I did, and then I decayed, and it was such a brutal decay. You lose so many points on that. It's terrible. I logged in on Sunday and I was like, you know what, I think at the time I was like, I don't know, 70 or something like that in legend, and I logged in, clicked on my thing because it doesn't update until you click into RTA. So I clicked into it. It still showed me in Legend. I click in and I'm like rank 200 champion. And I'm just like,
Oh.
oh, I'm like this. The ladder just got further. You started at the bottom, got over the cliff, and now there's another mountain to climb. So that was pretty brutal. So yeah, I worked all the way back up to 55, and then like I logged in today, and I'm like, I probably dropped like maybe like 10 points. I think I'm like rank like 87 now. Uh, it just goes so fast.
Did you hear about the rumor? Speaking of decay, did you hear about the rumor that decay has been changed from 3 days to two? I've been talking to a lot of different players, and they say that after 48 hours, their rank just shoots down, right,
No,
without them doing anything.
huh. That kind of worries me. I better go check my rank right now.
Yeah, I would
Um,
say to stay safe, try to do it within every 48 hours. But again, I'm not sure. It's only been rumor. I play a lot on my stream, so I try to stay
oh yeah,
doing
wow. I'm
decay at
I'm
some
already
point.
down to rank 95 now. Right now, as of this, rank 1 is 3200 points. And actually they're way further up ahead than the rank number 2. That's pretty interesting. One of the other interesting things that I noticed, and one of the things I wanted to bring up, was the shift of players in Legend. I think that with the end of the season coming, you have a lot of sleeper players that really didn't play much during the rest of the season, just absolutely dominating. And a lot of these players that had been up in the top 100 for the vast majority of the season find themselves in champion now.
Yeah, especially the number one, the current number one player, Nom Nom Bunny. He waited until the very end of the season to climb up, and he's just been dominating the ladder. It seems like nobody can stop him. And on the contrary, Code has taken a break So he's retired and is slowly being pushed out of Legend.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that. I did see him down in Champion when I was looking at the ladder there for a little bit. And it's interesting too because yeah, Code and Aether were number ones for they dominated like the very beginning of the season, like without a problem whatsoever. I wonder if the reason why some of these players are just dominating now is because during the season, right? You play a lot of different people, and especially when you're in Legend, you start to get to know who you're playing, right? I wouldn't typically ban Assassin Kali pre-ban, but if I go up against you, chances are I'm going to because I know that your Assassin Kali is just absolutely gross, and I'm going to go, boop, that's gone. I'm not going to deal with that. And I wonder if a lot of these players are just dominating because a lot of people don't know what they how to beat them. They're not versed in playing them or like what they play, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like that might be it because I at least until about like a week and a half ago, I knew pretty much everybody in Legend that I was going to fight. I knew what to pre-ban against them, what strategy to go. But a lot more players are coming out now, and a lot of players are bringing in weird drafts. I'm sure you saw the new Blue Rose ML Tywin cleave that's been coming
Yes.
out.
Yes, which I mean, I'm glad that my boy ML Tywin is getting like a lot of love. I played a lot of ML Tywin before his buff when everybody said he's trash. I mean, they still say he's trash, but you know, nobody pays attention to Reddit in the first place. But yeah, it's real disgusting. There's like a lot of Bruiser cleave teams too that you run into where it's like Blue Rose into Charles, into Alencia, into Seaside Belle or something along those lines, and they're thick enough to take some hits as if need be. And yeah, I've gotten hit by some Charles that just correct my posture so hard with that Blue Rose because she's such a good enabler.
Yeah, she was slept on for essentially the whole season. I mean, no one uses Blue Rose.
Yeah, and I mean the big thing too is and this is like something that I've been looking into and something I always typically do because you know I like to use very out of the box units, right? Like I use Captain Rickerus in Legend, and I think that a lot of players don't even know what Captain Rickerus does. So you know they're like, wait, hold on. Why is this guy drafted? Did he misclick on this? You know, and then I sneak in a dude who can strip, stun, increase speed, defense break, reduce cooldowns, and when you're just lapping on them, they just have no idea what to do, and it just takes some people, I think, with a little bit of that creativity to look at it and go, okay, well, everybody's banning my Flitica. Everybody's going to ban my Oxlots. Everybody's going to ban, you know, if I show that DJ Basar is going to be my CR pusher, they're probably going to ban that because, I mean, CR push is probably one of the, unless you're really even if you're going for like a two turn, right? Like any CR push that you can give that also buffs, that also gives you damage mitigation is going to be really strong. And you know, I think that the exclusive equipment that they gave Rose with the inherent speed was probably one of the best things that they could have given her and like made her more relevant because you can build her fast and she is thick. I was talking to somebody the other day and they were talking about using making her like that but also stacking defense on her because she scales off a defense and she can play a very heavy damage role as well after doing all of the other amazing stuff that she does.
Yeah, I've been seeing I think that they've been really, really careful about giving units speed EEs, but I'm really, really glad that Rose did get one. The one that I see the most is for the skill 3, and they actually cycle so fast. I've gotten skill 3 multiple times in one match by an Ice Rose. But like even with having like 240, 250 speed, I still see them at like 20k HP, 1500 defense, rockin' Honorius, and it's just such a threat to deal with. I've gotten to the point that when I fight against certain players, I just end up banning it out. right? To try to deal with it. And I feel like CR manipulation, any kind of push back, is kind of what makes Basar so strong, and the push up, which makes like Blue Rose and Faithless Litica, DJ Basar so powerful because your team basically gets to run free when your opponent can't interrupt you.
Right, and I mean that's one of the biggest things with like Flitica, for example, is the CR push forward that can't be counterattacked, right? So if you're not even hitting them, uh, and that was one of the reasons why I liked using DJ Basar as my CR pusher, right? Because guess what's probably going to be on the other team? A Seaside Bell. If you use somebody who pushes back like Basar, you're going to get those 4 charges. But if you're using a unit that doesn't have to hit them to push you forward, one, you don't have to worry about the 15%. Two, you don't have to worry about Seaside Bell charges, counterattacks, Charles Elbrus S1 into S2ing your entire team from a whole other match. And it doesn't even matter that your entire team is fire. He kills everybody in one shot because Charles doesn't know what elemental disadvantage is.
True, true.
But you know, the thing is, like, if you can push forward and provide other buffs, like, it's such a huge thing. And like you said, you know, you do see them with the extra HP, with the extra defense. And the reason with that is that you don't have to run an effectiveness main stat ring on the right side like a Falconeer Quarry does in order to debuff support. You don't have to run crit chance neck or anything like that, like a Biken or anything. So it gives you a lot more flexibility in the type of gear, and since she's a tank that scales off of defense, you can go defense, main stat, ring, and neck, and just be extra beefy.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that before, but it does allow for more flexibility because she doesn't have any other requirements because she's just there to, provide that buff support.
Right,
Um,
and that's actually like when I talk about DJ Basar, right? I talk about because I run like a 250 plus effect resist DJ Basar, and so for me, the only thing I really look for in substats for him are like defense, health, speed, and effect resist. Because, yeah, effectiveness will help you land his stun on his S1, but chances are you want to stun a threat and they don't build ER. So you don't really need a ton of effectiveness on DJ Basar to stun a Bruiser or a tank or a damage threat, a Kron or something like that. So when you can completely ignore other stats, it gives you such a wider array of versatility.
Yeah. I actually, speaking of your DJ Basar, that was the first instance when I remember fighting you one time with my Faithless Litica and I missed the reset. I couldn't land any CC. I didn't understand what was going on until I saw the stat line. And it made me realize that people are starting to now go even further and further beyond with effectiveness and effect resistance. I remember when Code first started showing his exclamation point units, and everybody would tier all of their units to 150 effect res, and all you ever needed to hit anybody was 135. That was the key number of effectiveness.
Yep.
But the game is changing now.
Well,
People are finally
it's an
into everything.
arms race, man. The more effectiveness you have, the more effect resist that I need to build. That's why I built so much effect resist on my Dizzy, is because I typically bring my Dizzy to counter Flitica cleave teams, because almost 90% of the time they'll S2 and then they'll try to S3 Dizzy, because Dizzy's going to be one of your bigger threats, because if you get the Dizzy S3 off on a cleave team, it's GG right there. So what they'll do is, because a lot of people don't run very super high effectiveness, and I have a 180 effect resist on my Dizzy, is they'll S3 into her, and then chances are she'll counterattack, and then I just laugh my way to victory because they just done goofed. And that's something that I learned, and that's one of the things that I think I really like the most about RTA, is it is a forever evolving like game platform, because like you were saying, when 150 is the baseline for support, you kind of know how much effectiveness you have to put in there. But if you all of a sudden go, okay, well, I know that everybody's running this much effectiveness, I'm just gonna, go even further beyond. And now you don't know how much effectiveness I have, and then you adjust, and then I have to adjust, and it's always fresh and strategic, right?
Yeah, I thought for a second there you were about to say that the Ross laugh was your favorite part of RTA. But yeah, it is ever evolving, and I like the fact that it's not becoming stale. And every single new unit that's introduced adds a new layer to the gameplay. I've been using ML Violet a lot actually, in RTA, and he's kind of changed how I draft, ever so slightly. And as people have more time to build more units and sack on more gear, they're bringing new things to the table. And that's one of the things I like about competitive PvP in this game.
Oh, for sure. And the thing though with like ML Violet and units much like him is that I feel like when they first put them out, right, everybody expects it to be as brain dead as Arbiter Vildred. And I think that a lot of times there's a very specific stat threshold where the new units go from being doo doo to I will kill your whole team. And I've ran into some ML Violets that I just absolutely stomped. They just fell over and died. And then I've also ran into some ML Violets that will just absolutely wreck my whole team. And it's interesting to be able to min max to the point to find that sweet spot.
I actually ended up finding somebody. I think that I'm very, very close to that sweet spot right now, with my ML Violet. I've been running him on a lifesteal immunity build, and I actually got somebody in Legend RTA to start pre-banning ML Violet against me, and boy, it felt good.
Yeah, I so especially if I go up against like a legend player and they draft in ML Violet, I just assume like right out the gate that they probably have that god gear that I'm like I'm not even going to risk it. I'm not even going to risk it at this point. Like I can deal with a K run. Like I know what to expect from a K run. I know what to expect from other DPSers. I'm like, this is just too RNG for me right now. We're gonna just bet that's banned. But I do. Uh,
Definitely.
oh, I lost you there. You cut out.
Oh, it's definitely going to take some time, I think, before everybody figures out where they want to put their ML Violets in the draft. It's kind of the thing that, or it's why I'm scared to add any new units to my draft currently, with us getting to the last week of RTA, is that it takes me about a week to get used to playing with a unit, right? Get comfortable with my, get into what it's strong against, what it's weak against. So I am hoping that RTA doesn't shake up too much in this last week.
Yeah,
With
and
that,
I think that that's going to be one of the big things is with especially like the last week that we're going into. A lot of people are going to be playing to their strengths and they're going to be playing their like their best games because they don't want to drop down. They don't want to go on an int spree like I typically do. And I think that especially for me, right? So when I was originally playing ML Violet, I had to cannibalize some gear from some of my other characters. So, I took a ring, I downgraded a ring from Alencia, I took some pieces from Little Queen Charlotte and replaced them with some subpar gear. And it really hurt my overall draft because a lot of those were my core units and I just downgraded my core units to work on a unit that isn't standalone. He's I feel like he's drafted against safer teams and you kind of have to have at least like two support with him just to make sure you're not getting like errant a Ravi crits on him and he's just falls over and dies. And so especially for me, I took the weekend and I just took all of my gear and I put it back onto my core units and I just started going back to what it is that I knew. And I think that that's one of the big things in RTA is it takes time and to learn an extra, learn those extra units. Like you were saying, it takes like a week to kind of get into a groove and see how this unit meshes with your normal draft. And so there's no time, especially at the end. And you don't want to just go on an int spree, drop like 200 ranks, and then try to work your way back up on the last day.
Yeah. Actually, are you going to be playing during the last day of
Yeah,
RTA?
I'm doing a 24-hour RTA stream the last day. It's
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
yeah, we're gonna try to get to. I'm gonna try to stay at least like top 50. That's the goal. And honestly, I feel like um if I get like real far up, I'm probably just gonna chill and see how things play out, because man, it's gonna be those last couple of hours before maintenance are gonna be like real rough.
Feel like that's so dangerous just because I remember I think it was yesterday I waited too long on my queue and I queued into a masters player that was climbing up. Now the gear that he had was not a master player's gear by any standard, right? I would assume that he should be in like champion or something, right? So it was a nail biting match that came down to the wire, and if I lost that match, that was 18 points gone and would have knocked me to the bottom of Legend RTA. So I'm
Oh yeah,
gonna
no,
try to be
yeah.
safe.
One of the things that I do is typically if my timer goes over like 15-20 seconds, I just cancel and then re-queue, because yeah, the longer you let it go, the more it's like, oh hey, this gold player just queued up. Have fun with that. And I can't even imagine how much you would lose if you lost to like a gold or silver player that was climbing. Like imagine if somebody ran up against like Careless, like a legend player got up against Careless when he was like climbing, and they just got absolutely destroyed and lost like 45 points. I would just
Uh,
quit for the day.
yeah.
I would just be like, I'm done with this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more painful things about RTA is that big point loss,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah, for
And they're
sure.
they're much more lenient about the points in the lower ranks too. Like I remember like when I see people who are like masters, like they win a match against anybody, right? They're winning like 20 points. They lose five, right? It just doesn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was telling stream about that earlier. I'm like, those are the most stressful games ever. Like if I go up against like Potato Balls or Aether Bulge, I'm like, oh okay. If I lose like 9 points. If I win, I get like 13, 14. I'm like, it's not really that big of a deal. I can come back from a loss from this like no problem. But it's like you get queued up against like a master level player, and you're like, oh, I cannot lose this. That is hours of work that I am going to lose if I lose to this person. And like you were saying, it's people that should be in champion or that are climbing that you just had the unfortunate time to run into. And so you're just like on edge, and you're like everything has to be fine, and then you like one misplay and you're like, oh no, I can see my points melting in front of me.
I know I felt my heart drop that match.
Yeah, so yeah, the last day is going to be real nutty too. I feel like a lot of people are going to get like, up in the top 20 to top 50, and then just chill, and then maybe like near the very end or close to it, see how the points are, and if they're going to fall out if they just chill too long, maybe play like one or two. But I think a lot of people are just going to sit and chill if they are kind of guaranteed top 100. But I like to live life dangerously. I'm not just gonna sit there and chill. I gotta keep fighting, man. I gotta get 2,000 matches before the end of the season.
2,000 matches.
I'm at
Oh,
like 1,500 right now.
do you think there's going to be a Hall of Fame?
I feel like there probably would be. I mean, they do a Hall of Fame for just about everything else. Um, I don't think they mentioned anything about like top three, but It would
No, they
be,
didn't.
yeah.
And I don't see like a tab for it or anything like that. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
maybe
still waiting
it
on
might be
spectate mode.
something. If they don't do it this season, I do feel like it'll be something that they implement later on. Um, so yeah, because I feel like it's just the best way to it's that big flex energy, right? If you're one of the top three in arena, you get your name there forever. And it's like the best way to flex. Some people were, talking about what the point is of doing RTA if there's no rewards. And I'm like, rewards are the clappanings that you handed out along the way and being able to flex on people because they'll tell you, "Hey, no, you should build your unit this way." And it's like, "Oh, what rank are you in top 100?" "Oh, you're
Well,
not up there." "Oh."
oh, that is one of my favorite things about RTA happening is that before that, there was so much debate about how a unit should be built, whether it would work in these situations, and we never really had a playground to test them,
Right.
right? So I've always done really strange and peculiar builds with my units. But it's really, really nice to see them work out and to finally be able to say, like, hey, 1v1 me. Hey, what
Yeah.
rank are you?
Yeah, so I
Uh,
used to play I used to play Fate Grand Order and a single player gotcha game, right? And you'd always have people that would be like, "Oh man, I'm better than this person," or "I'm better than this person." I'm like, "What? You farmed that single player content faster?"
yeah.
I'm like, at least over here, if someone's like, "Yo, Shotgun Shogun, you were trash," I'll be like, "That's cool, dude. Step in the ring. Step in the ring. Step up or shut up." Um, but yeah, no, it's I do think though that it would be cool if they did add rewards in the future, but I feel like the community would not be super happy about that because um it's kind of gated from players and they'll be like, "Oh, well, if I'm not a whale or I don't like PvP, then I can't get insert whatever." You already have it with the Spectre Tenebria skin. There's a lot of people that are very upset that the Spectre Tenebria skin is gated behind RTA because they just don't want to do RTA.
That's
Yeah.
that that's kind of surprising because they even said that in the future they're going to put the Spectre Tenebria skin into the store. It might not be immediately after, but eventually you'll be able to buy it with skin tickets. And the really or what I would want from RTA is some kind of reward after each battle to make it matter a little bit more. You said that you have 1,500 games, but
Yeah.
other than the Spectre Tenebria skin and the potential for the Legend border, you don't really get much out of it except for the time that we spent beating up our friends.
Right. Well, I mean,
Um,
like I said, for me, it's all about flexing, right? I'll have people that will talk to me and they'll like tell me how to run something or that my build is bad, and they'll have like 100 games played, and I'm like, okay, you come back to me when you've played 15 times the amount of games and stress test your Alencia in, 500-600 matches. Like I have that experience under my belt, friend. So yeah.
yeah. Well, you know what? I just want to mention the main difference between because I mentioned before that I play a lot of I used to play a lot of Summoners War and they did their RTA system a little bit different. One of the weird things that I feel about this RTA system is that you have unlimited matches, meaning that you can play for 24 hours a day, which can be good,
Which yeah, I,
right?
I do sometimes, yeah.
But at the same time, it's so stressful, and I feel like that's what's causing the points decline. I feel like it would be nice. Obviously, they don't have to do this, but it would be nice if they adopted something more similar to the Summoners War perspective, where you have like a certain number of matches a day, and then you have like a skin shop slash some kind of like transmogrification or something to apply to your units that's given out as a reward for how much you play in RTA, or I don't know, maybe they could put like a mola or something in like a weekly RTA shop or
Oh,
something.
yes, please. Please. More molas. But that's a whole other podcast. That's not well, we won't get onto that one.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think I actually when the season kicked off and they didn't say, hey, you had to have tickets, or there was no gate, right? Arena, you have flags, and I understand that like during like the preseasons, the beta tests of RTA, not having any sort of gatekeeping tickets was good because they could stress test it, do whatever. But I was really surprised that like the first official season was like, yeah, just RTA however much you want, man. We don't care. I feel like the other thing too is like, so let's say, I'm playing against like a legend player or a champ player that I know I'm not gonna lose a metric ton of points to, right? I don't feel like at a certain point, if I know that the game's I don't probably have a chance to win, or it's gonna take like 20-30 minutes, I'll just yield out. And because I know that I can just play 5 more games.
Yeah.
I can get those points back if I just play more games. And I think that if there was a limit, or even if you had to, I would actually wouldn't want Skystones, because then Wales would still just play 24 hours a day, which is actually one of the reasons why I never really pushed into Legend in Arena, because I just didn't want to buy flags. And I feel like if I had a limited number of entries, it would make it there would be more on the line, right? I would want to have my perfect draft. I would want to try hard because I only have 20 chances today to climb, and if I drop one match and the other person doesn't drop any, I'm already way behind that person.
Yeah. It would definitely be more stressful, but I feel like that would add some, fun to the competition. But you're right. I think that all the time. I'm getting ready to be done for the day. I'm just like, okay, I need one more win. I lose a match, and I'm like, okay, I need 2 more wins to, make up for this loss that I just got until I'm playing another 40 matches.
That's right. And then you
Um,
put on the power music, the anime openings, and you just
oh,
decide
yep.
you're never gonna lose. No more losing.
I mean, sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing is I do find that depending on what music I am listening to, the more hype that I am, and the more that I get Alencia and Little Queen Charlotte, the more that I just absolutely dominate matches. So I totally understand. Oh, I think I lost you, Kaz. Yeah, cut out there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah, I was throwing on some You Say Run the other day, and I instantly won like 5 matches in a row. So maybe there is some magic to the music that you
It
play.
is, man. You just got to believe in the heart of the cards, and
Oh,
just
true.
your grandfather's draft has no pathetic characters. So I understand, like literally the first time I fought Code, right? It was on my 24-hour stream. It was in the later half of it. I had just like lost like a bunch of matches. I switched my Little Queen Charlotte to like a Sigurd Scythe build, and it was different than my normal Tooth build. And I was like dropping matches because I wasn't doing the same amount of damage. So I switched back to the Tooth. Next match, I went up against Code, and then I think Pillarman was on, and I was just like, I just dominated the match. I was like so on point because like everything aligned. And I would like to say that I have a 100% win record against Code. I've only fought him once, but I won that, so counts.
Yeah, that definitely counts there.
Not like going up against Potato Balls. I think I have like a 5% win record against him. Like that's the other cool thing about especially like high RTA rate is you get to know other people, and you just like have that competitive camaraderie, right? Or
Mhm.
there's just people that you're like, man, I absolutely hate fighting this person. Like, why did I have to draw the short stick and get this person?
Is there anybody that you don't like to fight in RTA?
Um, let's see. I mean, there for a hot minute, it was actually Shuffles, because I knew that as soon as I was going to get into that match, he was going to dominate me. As a matter of fact, Shuffles is the reason that I built Adamant Shield Eaton, because he would just cleave me so fast and just absolutely wreck me 100% of the time. So actually, when I beat him the other day, it was like a real big achievement for me that I was like, yes, I did this. But I also, want to thank him for making me finally build Adamant Shield Eaton, one of the most disgusting damage soaks in the entire game. It catches a lot of people off guard too, because they just don't understand why I put a 3-star in the game. But like, I've eaten green Sid S3s, like with my Seaside Bell, and just kind of stood there. It's great.
Yeah, Eaton's damage reduction is nothing to laugh at. I haven't had the chance to build one up, but I've been looking at that advanced Aureus passive that he has,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's pretty
40%,
insane.
40% damage share, and if you slap a adamant shield on there, it's literally the reason why Crimson Armin was super OP, right? Well, I mean, obviously you've got the invincibility, but you slapped her on a team and she soaked so much damage because you just had an Arius Adamant in one unit. And I think a lot of people, especially like lower RTA players, do not understand just how much damage those two artifacts alone mitigate from another team.
Yeah, that's what caused me to have to T90 my Surmia. I don't know if you know, but I like to use fast Surmia in RTA. I have like a 200 speed Surmia. And when I-90 gear came out, I would just bring her into matches, and the Adamant Aureus plus the T90 gears, I couldn't one-shot anything anymore. Right? So I had to, hit the grind and amp up my damage way higher to just even be able to deal with these monsters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like T90 gear was was like such a mistake, man, because it just pushed the levels of HP, defense, mitigation, like through the roof. And honestly, like I cleaved a lot like back in the day, but I got really bored with it, right? That's why I never really cleave in arena, and like it's just never been my style. So the Bruiser, the tanky Bruiser, and like just turtle teams that I can put together and actually finally live through cleave is very exciting. I like matches that take a little bit of time, right? Because if it's just a one and done, like that's, I don't know, it's a little bit boring for me. I mean, yeah, it's fast, you win fast, die fast, but I want to play out a game. I want that strategic win instead of just, oh, I was faster.
I've been playing a lot versus the slow comps. I've never, or I haven't yet been forced to adopt the slow comps. I do run some bruisers sometimes, but I'm mainly that guy trying to outspeed you and lock you down, right? Because I'm a Tenebria player, right?
Yeah,
You'll usually catch Tenebria in my draft, and I try to lock down my opponent. I'm the only one that's going to be playing the game today. And that's what I enjoy the most, even though it's a little bit one-sided.
I do like those teams though. That's probably like my second favorite teams to build. For a little while, I was playing around with a team of Flitica, Blue Roman, Blue Dominel, and I had level 30 crowns on both Roman and Ice Dom. And
Ooh.
if my Flitica outsped you, you didn't get a turn
Hmm.
because Roman was going to cycle you so fast and Ice Dom was going to stun you. And then even if you did get a turn, we had Reflect on. I actually think that um, Ice Dom's really, really good. And I would like to find a spot at some point to fit her onto one of my teams because Reflect is real fun to use, especially if you could use like Adamant Arius, like stack it on just like a super tanky team. Because if they have high DPS Kron, they have an RB, something like that, it's just going to kill itself.
Yeah, I've been looking to build Ice Dominion. The only reason that I'm holding out is because I'm hoping with all my heart that the next ML5 to go into rotation is Silverblade Araminta.
I don't think so. I mean, we still have Arby and who else hasn't? I think Arby and Dark Corvus haven't been in the rotation.
Yeah. Well, because they reran the only reason I think that it could be Silverblade Araminta is because they reran Fallen Cecilia because she
That's
didn't have a
true.
pity banner. Um, but I really don't want to. Is this wrong? I don't want to see an RB banner because I'll still never stop pre-banning it in RTA, right? I just don't want to deal with it. So,
You know,
you
they
know,
released all these Arbiter Vildred counters, but the strongest counter is just pre-ban him.
yeah, exactly. You just pre-ban it, then
Yeah,
nobody can have it.
yeah.
It's good times. That's the secret to my win rate, actually. Just always pre-ban RB.
I mean, like the thing is like you can deal with him, right? But if he's on the other team, like let's say they draft like RB Spec Tenny, um, like which one do you deal with, right? You have to bring a couple of units in order to deal with those. And so it's just easier in my opinion just to ban RB and then deal with like a Spec Tenny um draft.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I just splash AoE damage at Spec Tenny, when
Oh
she
yeah.
goes away. RB, he's gonna be back.
Yeah, he's going to come back. So you have to have like damage mitigation or something like that. And even if you have an Arius Adamant or an Adamant Eaton on the team with, DN, he's going to crit through the anti crit buff. And I've noticed a lot of people started running fast RB, right? So that you get the S3 damage and then you just die and then you come back and you do even more. So even if he like dies a second time, he's done a lot of damage.
Yeah, I've been seeing like the 220 RBs that cut in front of your team. It's kind of terrifying, actually.
Yeah, it really is. And like I thought about it, and it's like before you would see people just run like full damage, super dead slow Arbiter Vildreds, and you would just kill them. And sure, they would hurt with their S3, but I mean, you could run Elena or Crimson Armin to at least keep the vast majority of your team safe. You could run Fallen Cecilia to put up the skill nullifier. This way, he at least gets the S3 damage off before your team typically gets to go. And he's, probably running a meme blade so that even the first time around that you hit him, you're probably not killing him. And so the more natural turns that he gets and the more extra damage he does, just exponentially increases his overall damage because then you kill him, then he comes back with the S3. By that time, he's probably got souls, so he's going to soul burn S3, and then, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean that's the power of T90 gears, right? Is that people are able to do these more high cost builds more efficiently, right? Because before, if you went fast RB, you weren't dealing any damage,
Right.
right? At all. You basically had to give it up. Now I can have speed and damage and 100% crit rate. Doesn't even matter anymore.
Doesn't even matter. And like before, like you're probably doing the same amount of damage that you would in a now as you would on a slow RB then, but you also got 50 more speed, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So it's T90 gear really kind of just blew those numbers like out of proportion. That's why you see like 200 plus speed, 30k HP Dark Corvuses, right? um you didn't really see that before that much. So which I actually have noticed a lot of Asian RTA players drafting the Spectre Tenebria Dark Corvus combo, because which one do you ban there? I mean, especially if they draft it like real late in the draft and you didn't have like a Dark Corvus counter or like anything like that, and it's real rough. It kind of pushes you into a corner of probably banning Dark Corvus, because let's be real, Dark Corvus is he's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, he ultimately rips through those Bruiser tank teams. Actually, you know what's weird? I was asking about this the other day. So I noticed as well that Korean players love Falconer Clury, and it
Yes.
was told to me by somebody that apparently that's a really, really popular thing on defense. The 280 Falconer Clury.
Yep.
But when I thought about it, is Global known for anything? Like, is there anything
Um
that's weird?
No, actually. Like I don't think so because I think global plays a little bit of like everything. I did notice, especially too, like early on, because like people would argue with me that Falconeer Quarry and MRSA were not, they weren't meta units, and I was like, dude, I see both of these units like regularly up here in the top. I'm like, Mersa's such a disgusting character. She does so much damage. I'm like, Falconeer Quarry, with enough speed, is one of the most like versatile utility characters ever. You lock their entire team down. I like to run mine on Rannon's Memorandum, and because you're gonna get those stacks. She's too fast, and then once that book is like stacked, and you get that extra 20% speed just all the time, like you'll just lap nonstop. Like I've had like 2v1s with my Falconeer Quarry, and I end up 2v1ing them because they just can't outdo my healing. They can't outdo the control or the lockdown or anything like that. And it's yeah, no, Falconeer Quarry is huge, but I don't think that Global is really known for anything specifically.
Yeah, I also abuse Falconer Clary. I've had her take like 3 turns in a row before on something crazy. Like she's a very, very powerful unit for a 3-star, and I really like the fact that a lot of these 3-stars are actually viable in
And just
PvP.
think, she used to be even stronger at the
Yeah.
onset of the game, and then they nerfed her, and she's still disgustingly good.
hmm Yeah,
And
a lot of people
yeah,
just took apart their flurries back then. They said, "Oh, no more extra turn, useless unit."
oh yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, I was, I did that. I feel bad, but it was back when I had Moa Goras. Like I invested tons of Moas into her because she was 3-star, right? And we needed those back in the day. And like they were like, you can recall this and get all of your stuff back. And I'm like, ooh, I need these for somebody else. I'm sorry, girl. I'm sorry. I
Uh,
I gotta put these somewhere else. But then as soon as they were like, stigma, I'm like, done. You're built back up.
yeah, with the stigma change to 3 stars. Honestly, it feels so nice to just be able to plus 15 her because even her skill 1 does so much damage, and I wouldn't have
It
had
really
access to
does. Yeah.
that.
Because I mean, she scales off defense. She's another one of those units where you can build them tanky and still do moderately okay damage. But the one thing too that I like to point out to people is that when they say that the game is like pay to win, blah blah blah. I'm like, some of the strongest units in the game are like 3 stars and 4 stars. Like, not you don't always have to have 5 stars. I mean, Dom is one of the probably the most stronger 4 stars in the game. Champ Zerato is hands down one of the dumbest characters that they ever like buffed. Whoever at Smilegate like buffed Champ Zerato, whoever approved those buffs, like I don't know how that got through because that was such a nutty change.
Yeah, especially when they changed it to hit 2 units. It was so ridiculous, and at that point, you're multiplying debuffs.
Oh yeah.
Still terrifies me.
Yeah, and like the other thing too is like you don't even necessarily have to take Champ Zerato to a debuff fight because if you build him tanky Bruiser, you're hitting 2 people and life stealing off of that. The counter is just extra. Like I build mine like kind of quick, kind of thick, and still does decent damage on lifesteal. And like I've had him just dunk on teams, like even after their debuffer's gone. He just kind of tanks it and then hits 2 people. I also like him against Spectre Tenebria because even though he can't counter, he can still hit her through the stealth that she gets.
Yeah, I really liked Champion Zerato for a while, but I haven't been using him as much recently just because I took away some of his more premium gear to build up some other units. But hopefully next season I'll find a build that I want to use for him. I've mainly thrown my everything into Vivian recently, and she absolutely has been destroying everyone. She destroys Champion Zerato, Spectre Tenebria, Dizzies, SSBs, the whole works.
And she really
Um,
does. And I think that the equipment that they gave her was just so clutch because yeah, you build her damage, she gets greater attack, and you soul burn that S2, and you're just gonna toilet bowl the whole team.
Yeah, it literally ends games. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. I didn't think that it was going to be that strong. I wasn't even going to go for I used the 50% CRE.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
even going to go for it, but the game just gave it to me when I was rolling for it, a 14% health max roll, and I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
okay, we'll try it out, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And it's spectacular. It's
Yeah,
really
and I
something
mean that's
else.
the thing with her too is you can't CC her after if she gets first turn. There's not much you can do. You can't block her with Dizzy, unless you strip beforehand. But for me, it's like I just have to go in on it and just try to kill her. But a lot of people use the Dignus Orb to just put that just beefy shield up so that she just stays alive.
This orb is such an insane artifact. You know, they buffed it a little while back so that you also gain 15% extra damage on your next attack, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now
Well,
you're
because I
getting
mean,
a huge
originally it
shield.
wasn't very good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. It was pretty bad. I know a lot of people that fed away all their Dignus orbs, right? Now they can't use Vivian.
Right.
It's really,
Yeah.
really changes the playstyle.
I remember at the onset of the game when Alexa's basket was actually garbage, and you just used it for dust fodder. Like I probably burnt so many Alexa's baskets, and then they're like, "Hey, we're gonna make this one of the most ridiculous artifacts in the game for thieves." So there you go, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool."
Yeah, regret, immediate regret.
That's why
I'm
now
hoping.
I just like if there's an artifact, even if I think it's doo doo, I'm like, nope, I'm keeping one copy of that doctor's bag. Maybe they'll fix it in the future.
That's what I was just about to say. I hope one day they buff Doctor's Bag. It's so terrible.
It is. I remember when they announced that, and I'm just like, yikes. Yeah, who thought this was a good idea? Like, what do you even use that in? Like at all? I can't even imagine using it in PvE. It's just
Well,
bad.
somebody brought up to me the fact that Ray can't even use it, right? Because it dispels debuffs, but the third
Yeah,
skill that he would use is his cleanse,
right.
right? So then it just makes no sense. It's like who is this artifact for?
No clue. No clue. And I don't think that they thought about it either. So, because I mean, if it was like every third ability that you did, it cleansed everybody, that would actually be really good.
Mhm.
Or even just like one person. So you could just throw it on like a DN or something or, whatever and cleanse somebody. But I mean, I feel like at that point, a potion vial would be better, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, because once
Yeah,
you
no.
cycle, you just pile it up. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, no, it's just bad. It's just a bad artifact. We're gonna put that in the ML Leo category.
Oh no! Oh, he has so much potential.
He
He could be
does.
there.
I wish that what I think would actually um do really really well with him is if his bombs bypassed debuff immunity and couldn't be cleansed.
What that would be insane. What
That
like the
would
you're talking
yeah.
about the floor. You're talking about the abyss floor, Leo, right?
Yeah, I mean basically just yeah, buff him to that, and if somebody dies, the bomb just moves around. It's hot potato.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. I feel like he'd be good, if they did that.
If they
Definitely,
did that, he would
definitely
be
good.
pretty all right. He'd be usable. Reddit would still complain about him. They'd be like, "Nah, dude, this isn't even that good. It's still trash."
True, true. I still have mine triple S chilling.
Oh
He'll
yeah, no,
get
mine's
one
chilling
day.
too. I feel like one day they're gonna have to address him, probably right after haste, right?
Oh, true. Yeah, his banner's out right now.
It is. That means that they're probably gonna buff him soon.
Yeah.
Are
Hey,
we
hey,
in? Are we in line for another set of EEs anytime soon?
didn't we just get EEs? I think we just
I
got
feel like it
Vivian and
was pretty
Omikos.
soon.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll announce they'll do dev notes and they'll be like, "Hey, by the way, we're going to buff haste, so you still got a little bit of time on this banner. So roll for haste." But I think that they're going to announce a limited summer unit next week.
Who do you think? Oh, actually, I want to say who I think that it's going to be, or who I want it to be.
All right,
I want
go. I think it's going to be the
Summer
same.
Summer Araminta.
Yeah, that's who I
Okay.
think it's going to be.
Yeah, that would be
Overwhelmingly,
amazing.
like as soon as that art came out last year, everyone's like, "Bruh, so where's that Summer Araminta skin though?"
Yeah.
Like this Seaside Belle is cool, but that Araminta though. And then there were some people that are
Exactly.
like, "Yo, Summer Lots when?"
Yeah, no, yeah, there are a bunch of Summer Lots fans out there, but I'm staying loyal to Araminta.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that that's what it's going to be. Actually, on the live stream tonight, um, I'm pretty sure that Mango kind of leaked that because he was talking about the next summer limited, and like Desperado and New didn't like say anything about it because like if they weren't planning on putting one out, you would figure that the community managers would be like, bold of you to assume there's going to be a summer limited announced next week, but they're just kind of like, all right, we're not going to say anything about that. Oh yeah, summer Araminta would be great, chat. So
Yeah, I mean that
yeah,
silence does mean a lot.
yeah. So I'd almost wager because like the next part of like summer comes out next week, and I think that that's they're going to announce another limited, which I think that that's going to be a little tilting because man, they have been just shoving units down our throat like nonstop. It's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, my bookmarks are in pain. And I had to go hard this year for drink, right? Because last year when it came out, I got SSB at 9, and I told myself, drink's not that good. I don't need drink,
Hey,
right? You know.
we all make mistakes sometimes in life.
Oh,
It
I
happens.
cried for a year. Oh, it was so painful.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things too that they brought up tonight, and something that I have talked to the community managers about, is artifact pity. Like you should have a toggle on that banner on which one you pity. Honestly, like I would probably like forever switch it to the artifact because like if I get the unit along the way, awesome, but artifacts are so much harder because they'll you get spooked by everything else along the way. I think when I was rolling for my extra copy of drink this time, first off it took me till S rank second Wyvern 13 bell, which
Ooh,
is feels bad, but I ended up getting 6 5-star artifact spooks along the way, and
wait,
every
before drink?
sing yeah, just for one drink, just for one drink, 6 spooks along the way. And every time you see that dude pop up from the left hand side, you're like, yes, I am free from my rolling. I can be done. But no, it was a border coin.
Yeah,
Who even yeah.
I think that's the most popular opinion is that they should have some kind of a toggle for it. It is weird to me just because I remember the times where it wasn't guaranteed to get the unit, right? When we didn't have pity on every single banner,
Yeah.
and everybody was so used to just getting spooked by other units, and now it's the artifact, right? The
Right.
artifact spooks are coming, so
And the thing that sucks about that is like a lot of times the artifact is the real prize, right? I mean, Elfelt's good, but Misconfile is the real prize on that banner, and you just end up going so hard on these units, and you don't you don't pull the artifact, and it's real rough. I The first time I ran into that was when I was pulling for Draco Plate, right? Because I mean, let's be real, Draco Plate is probably hands down one of the best warrior artifacts in the game for somebody who doesn't already have passive crit reduction like Little Queen Charlotte. And I had already had a triple S Luna from the first round, and I'm like, are you telling me I have to roll on this limited banner for an artifact? Like what, why would you do this? And then people be like, but there's one in the shop. And I'm like, yes, but at the same time, the bottles take like what 3 months to come around, and it costs the equivalent of I think like 6 5-star artifacts. So just telling people to bottle it isn't really the most like viable piece of advice on those. It's really just kind of gross. And like when the limiteds were first coming out, right? So like the first time we had it, they didn't have limited artifacts. I think the first limited artifacts we got were Guilty Gear. I think so. And like Torn Sleeve was kind of meh. Dizzy's artifact was kind of meh. So it wasn't really a big deal. I think Drink was probably the first limited artifact that you were like, I gotta get this. Like, I have to get this, bruh. And now, like, every limited artifact is just disgustingly good.
I've been having terrible luck with my limited artifacts. I actually didn't get Torn Sleeve this time around, and I didn't get Misconfile either. That's why I was really, really happy when the Deanne artifact came around, and it was garbage. Right? Nobody uses Unfading Memories. But it's so hard because there are so many cool builds that I want to do with these limited artifacts that I'm unable to. Like, if I had a Misconfile, I would throw it on my Fire Litica. Can you imagine stripping, pushing somebody back, slowing them, and defense
And
breaking them
defense
in
breaking
one
them?
skill?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that would be so good. So good.
But
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like, I want. I think I have like one copy of Cerese's artifact, and it's like I kind of want to use that on stuff, but it's like, at the same time, the other part of me wants to have it plus 30 because, the higher the chance, obviously, the better. It's like, do you really want to use like a plus 15 drink? Um, the kind of the saving grace of Drink is like when you get to plus 30 and it's 100% chance. Like otherwise you're going to run into the, if it's not 100% chance, it's a 0% chance. And you'd be like, oh, if Drink would have just procced, I would have killed half of the team, but it didn't. So it's a little tough. I actually feel like they should like lower the cost of bottle, because like trading in um six artifacts worth of dust basically is kind of oops, considering that dust is probably one of the better ways to get artifact charms.
yeah, it's I guess the problem. Yeah, artifact charms are extremely hard to get, and I don't really understand why. But it is hard though because you want it to be more expensive than an artifact, right? Is what they're assuming. I
Yeah.
mean, it would be super nice if they like cut the price in half, right? I wouldn't be against it, but I'm assuming that it's more valuable than like your own selected 5-star artifact is why I think people.
Yeah, that's true. I do wish that like every so often, maybe they would run like limiteds around in the artifact shop, or somebody had suggested on the stream that when the banner is up, the limited artifact is in the shop for dust as well.
That would be insane.
Like I mean, you would still have to pay the ridiculous like dust amount, but like you could still get copies of it with dust. I mean, it's not like, you're getting it for pretty much free. I mean, dust still takes like other 3-star artifacts being broken down, or getting it from Wyvern, which, one dust is always my favorite thing to see when I'm killing Wyvern or hunts. But if that were just an option, it would still be
Yeah.
pretty beneficial.
Usually I don't like some of the suggestions that nothing against anybody's opinions. See, usually I don't like some of the suggestions that I hear, but that sounds amazing actually. I feel like that would be the solution, right? Just toss it in the artifact shop. Heck, if it's 240, 300 powder, I would buy it.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Um
for sure. I mean, and uh, like if somebody were to say, "Oh, well, then they wouldn't get their revenue from bookmarks and people rolling or anything like that," and it's like, yeah, but those people still rolled for all those artifacts to get that much dust over time. So I mean, they still got their money at some point or another. Um, and then people would have to build back up their dust through also pulling for stuff. So I mean, it's still an overall positive for Smilegate. And I know that, like, you know, there's that fine balance of what's good for free to play, but also going to net money for their shareholders, which, I mean, some of these packs that they've been putting out lately have been kind of yikes in terms of value, but that's a whole other story on that one. We have been talking for quite a while, Kaz, so I'm going to wrap this up. I do appreciate you coming over and talking with me tonight in place of Snow and Pachex. Anything you want to say on the way out? Tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, well, like you know, everybody, my name is Cafe Kaz. You can usually find me live on weekdays around 2 p.m. EST over on twitch.tv/Cafe Kaz. And also, if you don't mind, I want to make a little bit of an announcement. I'm going to be holding my second ever Cafe Championship Cup next Saturday, July 11th. And I'm really, really excited about that. It's a lot of fun running tournaments, and you know, hopefully, you know, there'll be some people to come out and watch or participate if you want to.
Yeah. Am I invited to that?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'll definitely get in on that. Which, you know, I'll probably take a couple days off of RTA after the season, uh, and then I can jump right back into some tournaments. But anyways, guys, that's it for this episode of the Infinite Library. Thank you all for coming out. If you did like this content, first off, go subscribe to Cafe Kaz over on YouTube, and then subscribe to me if you or vice versa, or however you want to do it. You are the boss of your own life. Anyways, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace. Cracky.